by all means, I definitely was outside and I did a lot of like camping and backpacking and really explored my backyard, but I definitely feel like I have some catching up to do in a sense. And so almost every time I've been back, I always have like these new goals and these new trips that I want to do and these areas that I've heard about my whole life. But I'm like, why haven't I been there yet?
My name's Joe Elder. I've lived in Saratoga in this valley for about 4 years. And I grew up in Wyoming, moved here when I was 8 years old. And so I have a deep and abiding appreciation for what the state has to offer.
Growing up, I was always out in the mountains, and that's where I felt most at home. And still to this day, I always feel most at home or most natural when I'm like outside, out in the wilderness and living off the land. And
the Medicine Bow National Forest encompasses the Sierra Madres as well. So you have two unique mountain ranges situated right next to each other with the river running through it, essentially, the valley. So, which makes for all kinds of different terrain. You can have rocky crag peaks, you can have forested area like this.
Started off our trip in Carbon County up by the Snowy Range, and that was just a mind-blowing experience because I'd never been in that part of the state before, and I had no idea that that beautiful mountain range existed there.
It's a pretty open attitude to me, the Western mentality. It does incorporate, you know, the cowboy ethic in a sense, and people call it a myth, something that's not really attainable, but it is a real thing, I think, and I think it expresses itself most vibrantly in its outdoor aspect.
To go into Rawlins and get like a kind of a history lesson in a sense, and a full tour of the old prison there was amazing. Like, I had never toured the prison there before, and my initial thought going into it was like, what can be so fascinating about a prison? But then after learning about the history and just how things were run and like how much of a struggle and how hard it was for people back then was really amazing.
The prison itself didn't open until 1901, and it operated until the 1980s. And what amazes me about that prison is the fact that a single cell block housed every state prisoner for almost 40 years. The second cell block wasn't built until the late 1930s, I believe. So if you imagine, every prisoner from Wyoming was housed in one cell block.
It's amazing, like, the culture and history there in Rawlins. And I feel like it's always, to me, been that town that you drive through and maybe feel up at, but really they have some amazing things with just their history and background. The buildings there are amazing, and they have such amazing architecture, and it dates back. It's super old, like back to the 1800s.